Hi, my name is Scott Blackwell, and I would like to tell you a little bit about a historical figure from the Bible that made a great impact on the nation of Israel. The Bible is full of influential people that impacted Israel as a nation and our world. But Moses stands out from the rest. He is attributed with the writings of Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. However, Moses is mainly known for his role in leading the Israelites out of Egypt and being God's instrument in calling down the 10 plagues on Egypt. Leading thousands of people through the wilderness was no small feat. The only reason Moses was able to do this is because God was with him in his heart. Moses had to be a strong leader and rely on the Lord. God used different events in Moses' life to make him mentally, physically, and spiritually into the leader that he was. God began preparing Moses mentally for leadership at a young age. Moses grew up in the royal courts of Egypt with the highest level of education possible. Acts 7:22 says, Moses was educated in all the wisdom of the Egyptians and was powerful in speech and action. He would have learned to read and write hieroglyphics and cuneiform according to Strong's Bible Dictionary. This is an example of Egyptian cuneiform that Moses would have learned to read and write. Growing up in the royal courts would have also prepared Moses to deal with being in the public eye and having people serve under him. As royalty, Moses would have seen firsthand all the diplomatic matters that went on in Egypt. He also had Pharaoh as a good role model of a leader. The next step in Moses' preparation for leadership was his time in the wilderness, which prepared him physically. In order to lead an extremely large group through the desert, Moses had to be tough and know how to live in the desert. Moses fled the royal courts of Egypt after killing an Egyptian and lived in the desert on the Sinai Peninsula. The wilderness of the Sinai Peninsula is a harsh environment with extreme temperatures and very little water. To be a good leader, one has to be humble. God taught Moses humility through this 40-year exile in the Midian wilderness. Moses went from a life of luxury where people waited on him to a life of fending for himself in the desert. During his time in Midian, Moses was a shepherd and spent his time herding sheep. This taught him a little bit about how to be a shepherd for Israel. Nelson's Bible Dictionary says that Moses' time in the desert taught him the survival skills he would need to lead Israel through the desert. God knew what he was doing when he sent Moses into the desert. Moses probably didn't know what God was doing. He probably felt abandoned. But God knew what he was doing, and this was just another step in making Moses the leader that he needed to be. The most important part of Moses' preparation for leadership was the spiritual aspect. God called Moses to the life of a leader and a prophet through a supernatural event. Moses was in the wilderness, probably tending his sheep, when God appeared to him through a burning bush that did not burn. God revealed himself to Moses as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Then he called Moses to go and free his people from slavery. God then gave Moses the power to do miraculous signs as a tool to free the Israelites. The only reason that Moses was able to effectively lead Israel is that God was with him. Moses was Israel's leader for more than 40 years. He was also their prophet and their spiritual guide. Moses set a great precedence for the future leaders of Israel, and many, like Joshua, followed in his footsteps. The Jewish people are who they are today because of Moses' willingness to be used by God. Thank you for listening.